Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're going to be watching some reporters rip into the Liberal Party as the Liberals continue to try to push Pierre taking women's rights away. Now, as I usually comb through some videos, I like to check out the titles of the videos, but I know there's a limited amount of characters. So when I went down to the breakdown, I see this: Liberal MPs call on Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre to clarify his position and policies surrounding women's reproductive rights. Now, this has been an ongoing topic that they're trying to throw right now at the Conservatives, especially in the House of Commons, talking about, Pierre said he would use the notwithstanding clause to change the Charter of Rights and abortion and women's rights and bodily autonomy and all this stuff. And so you're going to see the first statement, which they only make a statement in English and French, and then they go to the questions of the reporters, and boy, are they good.
Hello, as the chairperson of the Liberal Women's Caucus, I'm here representing the Women's Caucus and members of the Liberal Party, and we've sent a letter to the Leader of the Opposition, asking him to be very clear with Canadians, and in particular with Canadian women, on what he would do to defend a woman's right to choose. We've seen that his caucus, there are many anti-choice caucus members. We've seen some of their actions recently, including MP Kathy Wagenthal, who at the pro-life rally held here last week said that women who have abortions end up needing redemption, forgiveness, and needing God. We as women want to know whether the Leader of the Opposition will ensure that his caucus does not put forward legislation that in any way impinges on women's rights and freedoms, in particular bodily autonomy.
His office has already said that.
It's not clear. His office has said that they're not going to use the notwithstanding clause on abortion to regulate abortion. He said he's not going to legislate it, introduce it, pass it. So what part's not clear?
That's his government. There are ways that you can have private members' bill that are introduced as well, and the risk is still there. You know, he voted against Morgentaler back in 2008 as person. I mean, he is, in every sense, that caucus and that leader has made women wonder about the risk that they're going to be taking with this leader. And I want him to come out and unequivocally say that they do everything to defend a women's right to choose, that they will not allow their members to come forward with private members' bills and put forward bills that suggest that a fetus is a person, which is a backdoor way of, again, addressing this issue.
Now, I don't understand how a person who has 6 children, like Leah does, could make that statement, they would suggest that a fetus is a person. What else would the fetus be? A dolphin? A hippo? A giraffe? No, it's the fetus of what a human being would be. So yes, it would be a person. But if we're sticking with the reporters here, yeah, they've already stated that they're not going to be using the notwithstanding clause for that. They're not going to be legislating anything about that. And it's okay for people to have different views, like being pro-life, like not like being against abortion. That doesn't mean that they're going to be forcing anything on women, especially when they've come out and said this. But it's not just these reporters that are noticing this. You have other media that are also calling out the Liberals on this ridiculous tactic.
Well, you know the Liberals are really, really in trouble when they bring out all of their attack, that stuff that they usually do during an election campaign: abortion, gun control, health care. They're going to destroy health care. All of these issues they're now bringing out now. They're saying, if Poilievre gets elected, he's going to use the notwithstanding clause, and we're going to outlaw abortion. That health care is going to be in danger. And by the way, he's also a white supremacist. That is the kind of stuff that they've been trying for the last 3 weeks. None of it seems to be working at all, and that makes you wonder if they can't make it work now, what happens during an election campaign?
And Robert Fife is right. These Liberals are so desperate, you can just smell it. You smell the desperation off of them. They are down so far in the polls. And as you're going to hear this next reporter, as I said, rip into them, he throws that right in their face and says, half of you guys are probably not even going to be in a seat anymore.
Is it he was here? The Harper government had 10 years. I know you weren't here. Many of us were. 10 years in power. They had 4 years as a majority, didn't move one bit. And they had private members who wanted to do things. Guys, you are all 30 points down the polls. I'm looking at some of you will not get reelected if there was an election this fall. This is the most cynical play to just throw the abortion scare tactic. Would you like to respond to that observation?
Absolutely. It's
Please.
not a scare tactic. We've seen what's happened in the States. Do people really think Roe versus Wade would have been overturned? Do we think what was happening there was going to happen? I've been in the women's movement for over 50 years. It is not a scare tactic. Things are going backwards, not only in Canada, but around the world. And these are real risks for Canadians. We need to know very clearly that that party, policies put forth at the convention, individual members are not going to introduce things because we do not want to go the same way as the United States. So it is not a scare tactic. It is a very strong concern. And I may not have been here then, but I was other places working on women's rights, okay? So do not use that as a reason why it's not a scare tactic.
I really wish I knew which reporter that was, because that guy was cutthroat and I loved it. But he makes a solid point. The Liberals constantly right here are trying to fearmonger about the Conservatives when he says when Harper was in power, there could have been tons of private member bills. There could have been legislation from the Conservative government when they were in party or in power, I should say, and nothing happened. Yet Pierre said one thing about notwithstanding clause in regards to crime, this bail and release, catch and release system that the Liberals have pushed forward, how he would make sure criminals stay in jail for the crimes they commit. Now they're trying to just spin a web and attach it to every little thing, and it's super sad. But here's another reporter who takes another shot at them and say, well, if you're so concerned about this, why don't you make legislation against it?
Let's just put it back the other way. The government hasn't also legislated to protect abortions either, right? So why doesn't your government introduce legislation to make it harder for that to get rolled back if there is a Conservative government?
You do not want to legislate woman's body. You do not legislate woman's body. That is not, you make sure that you have access to abortion. You don't want to legislate anybody's body, particularly women's.
Even if that is to protect the right to choose, like you're calling
No,
to do?
you don't want to legislate your ovaries, your uterus. No, that is not the way that you protect women's rights.
So let me get this straight. You're saying that you can't legislate a woman's uterus and ovaries, yet you want the Conservatives and Pierre in particular to somehow ensure that these rights will be entrenched in which way? Because we currently don't have any laws in regards to abortions. As we can take a look here, the last revised thing on abortion and rights, it says abortion is not specifically mentioned in the Canada Health Act. It is simply included in a broad definition of insured health services. And if we go back 2 years when Roe v. Wade happened, there was articles like this: Canada has no abortion right law, doesn't need one. And if you scroll down here, this part, why didn't Parliament pass legislation? Under the majority progressive Conservative government of Brian Mulroney, the House of Commons passed a law in 1990 that would have made it a criminal offense to induce an abortion unless a physician deemed that the woman's life or health was likely to be threatened otherwise. But the bill died in the Senate, where the vote came to a rare tie. No government has since attempted to legislate on this issue. So what are you so concerned about? I don't get it. Even here, it says there is no law that criminalizes or restricts abortion in Canada, but these people like to just fearmonger and say that Pierre is going to be doing this. And I'm sure this is a tactic, like Robert Fife said, they're going to continue pushing, even though it seems to not really be working. But as we come towards the end of the video, I do want to leave you with Michelle Ferrari, because I think she said it the best. So as always, let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification to stay up to date. And as always, I will catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.
And I will tell you this, you know the Liberals are losing real bad when they bring up abortion. We will never bring this up. And to that member opposite, if you're going to get up and talk about my reproductive rights, you better put a woman up and stop mansplaining to me.